All right, our Kids Escaping Drug Tell event continues right now.
And we know there are a lot of parents watching, some who might be wondering how to help their child, but they just don't know where to start. If you haven't donated to this organization in the past, we hope that you might consider it tonight. And joining us live right now are John Bennett and Jody Altman with Kids Escaping Drugs, and we're so glad you're both with us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Jody, we'll talk to you a couple questions first. You're Deputy Executive Director at Kids Escaping Drugs Renaissance Campus, and I know that you've worked in the addiction field with adolescents for 3 decades since you were 5 years old. We want to talk first about the pandemic. It has just been so difficult on so many people. The CDC says last year was the deadliest on record for drug overdoses. And while we're all back now to work and school, it's still a big impact. So what are you seeing on your campus now as we hopefully look toward the end of this at some point?
So, I think what we're seeing is what we thought we were going to see once the kids went back to school. We really felt like once there were constant eyes on them, that our phone would start to ring. Our phones would ring more, and they are ringing more because when the kids were living at home in the middle of the pandemic and parents are working and everybody's on a Zoom call, nobody's watching each other. And we really felt like once they were under this constant supervision, that this 1.5 years of trauma that they may or may not have suffered would come clean. And that's exactly what we're seeing with our phones ringing.
And Jody, what specifically are you seeing after this year of being at home, learning remotely, and now with these kids, more eyes on them in school full time? What kind of effects specifically have you seen, and what kinds of things should parents and teachers be looking out for now that kids are back in class?
Sure, that's a great question. And I think there's a lot that we can be looking for. Obviously, we're going to be looking for these kids and their behavior changes, yet we haven't seen them in 18 months, but moms and dads and sisters and brothers have seen them. So we want to look at who they're hanging out with. We want to look at if there's been a sharp decline in their grades, in a sharp decline in the way they take care of themselves. We want to ask them how they are. Everybody has gone through 18 months of a pandemic. There's trauma. Every one of us has had some type of trauma as a result of this pandemic. And we want to ask these kids if they're okay. And then we want to ask them that the next day and the day after. And we want to keep our eyes on them and let them know that school now is a safe place to come to talk to somebody if they need help.
John, let's chat with you now. You are the program director for Face to Face, which is so successful there at KED. You get out there and educate people about the issues. We've talked to you in the past about some of the drug trends that you're seeing right now in Western New York with teenagers and young adults. One thing that we are seeing a lot of right now is the Delta 8 THC. You can find it at gas stations. You can buy it online. Technically legal around the country, although there are some questions. Tell us about that and why that's concerning to you.
Yeah, so Delta 8, it's a compound that's within the cannabis and hemp plants. It's very similar to Delta 9 THC, which we're familiar with in regular marijuana. It still gives you that high that you get from marijuana, although it's not quite as strong, and the effects last for a less period of time. But the high's still there, and it does have the odor of normal marijuana, too.
So Delta 8 is only one of the substances that parents need to be concerned about, but there's a part of this that people don't know what they don't know. What are some of the other trends that you're seeing in schools and in the communities? What do we look for?
Yeah, well, vaping's always been a huge trend, and we're continuing to see that carry over with the vaping of THC products, whether it's regular marijuana or the Delta 8 as well. You can get Delta 8 in a few different forms, whether it's plant, you can get it in edibles and vaping. So we're seeing a lot of the vape pens, both nicotine, marijuana, and Delta 8 within schools already from the start of the year. Xanax has always been one that I've told parents to keep an eye out for. It's one that's mentioned quite a bit in the music and media that adolescents are exposed to. So it's a big one for them to keep their eyes out for.
We've been talking with John Bennett and Jody Altman from Kids Escaping Drugs as we continue to try to raise money tonight for this important cause in Western New York. Hang with us 1 second, guys. We're showing people a live picture there of the phone bank. You can see the number to donate at the bottom of your screen. It's 716-822-2220. We are also close to hitting that $20,000 mark already. We have another half hour to go, so we hope people will continue to donate. Thanks to both of you for your time tonight.
Thanks for having us.
And we always know that people are so generous, and we so appreciate it. We also appreciate you joining us on the Town Hall. We will see you back here tomorrow at 5:30.
Yeah, but don't go anywhere. Channel 2 News at 6 with Scott and Mary Alice is up next. We're going to leave you with a look there at our text line number if you have a question or comment.